Welcome to another episode of Extra, where only football matters. In the studio is a new face to the show, Dan Kemp, a sports journalist for Estuary TV, and the man to his left is Peter Johnson, a Hull City fan and editor of an online supporters group, Tigerlink. We have highlights from Halifax versus Grimsby. We're here from Clee Town chairman Dave Patterson after another FA Cup win, and we focus on the potential sale of Hull City. We are also on social media, so please tweet us your thoughts to appear on next week's show. So if we can start, Peter, by talking about what you do at Tigerlink. So if you can introduce that for us, that'd be great.
Of course, yes. Tigerlink really was born out of Hull City's last appearance in the Premier League, when a group of us felt that really the city and the club perhaps didn't maximise our time in the Premier League in terms of putting the area on the map.
Yeah.
So the idea in general terms is to promote everything Hull and be more positive about things in both Hull and the surrounding area.
Because of course the first time there was in the Premier League, well, it was the first time, was it back in 2009? I believe 2008, 2009 season.
That's correct, yeah. And
yeah.
I mean, 2 seasons in the Premier League was fantastic, but in terms of raising the profile locally of the city, we felt that perhaps, you know, there was still a need to do a bit more for the area.
Fantastic. So where are we now with this project then? How's that going?
Well, as a project, we've been helped really by circumstances in that the return to the Premier League and a further 2 seasons and a much more international exposure of the club is helping everything we were trying to do, in that not only has there been sort of more interest in Hull City locally from non-football people, but we now have a fan base which stretches right across the world. And interests from countries like Ecuador and
fantastic.
New Zealand, Australia, places where perhaps there was support in the past, but not that we knew about or who had interaction.
Yeah, obviously the Europa League sort of matches obviously help with that as well.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, obviously to get into Europe was a huge achievement, and also fueled everything we're trying to do at Tigerlink.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Peter. Dan, what are your thoughts on Hull City as a whole and the club this season?
Thoughts on Hull City as a whole, of course, we've had a few controversial points, but I think avoiding that for now, I think the start of the season's been fantastic again. Really good win at QPR at the opening day of the season, which of course.
Thank you, Dan. So here's a reminder of what Assam Alam said last week in his statement.
We stated earlier this year that the club would be for sale should our attempt to globally promote Hull Tigers as a brand name and as a playing name be blocked. This announcement is in accordance with my decision 10 months ago that I would walk away within 24 hours. Until the conclusion of the appeal or the sale, the appeal or the sale, whichever comes first, we will remain fully committed to the club.
So if we take that on face value, what do we think to the chairman's comments last week, Peter?
Well, the club's up for sale. That could be a positive thing or a negative thing. Only time will tell on that. I don't think we can go much further than that. Obviously, the statement does touch on the appeal with regard to the name change.
Yeah.
All I would say is the purpose of the press conference was to clear the air, and not quite sure the air was completely cleared by the end of it.
There was a lot of rumours flying about, wasn't there? And obviously, if you've spoke to Hull City fans, what reaction have they given you, Dan, if any?
Well, I think if you go on social media especially, you see there's a massive divide that's opening up amongst City fans. You've got the people who are saying, back Alam 100%, he's the man, he's put all this money in. And I can see that point of view, and likewise I can see the point of view that's saying tradition is the most important thing in football. It's the people whose parents and grandparents have been and passed down these stories about football, and that's really what it's about.
Is that the same reaction you've seen, Peter, from fans?
Yeah, I think there just needs to be really an understanding that for all intents and purposes the name change saga should be over.
Yeah.
The FA made their decision, and what we've had with the press conference is to stir up a hornet's nest a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think more than anything there's an element of confusion amongst fans and some misunderstanding that needs to be clarified.
This week's Sack or Stick, the spotlight is on Alan Irvine of West Brom. No wins this season leaves them in the relegation zone. So is West Brom's time in the top flight coming to an end? Is there too much baggage around the club for the baggies?
Get it.
Peter, what are your thoughts on West Brom? I mean, they've made a poor start. There's no 2 ways about it.
They've made a poor start. I have to say, I think West Bromwich Albion as a club are a very good club, a well-run club. And until this bad start, you'd say that they were something, I think we were talking about them as a model for Hull City to follow not long ago. So I think it's too early to say yet.
Obviously, that's how quick a club's fortunes
Yeah.
can turn. I mean, Dan, what are your thoughts on West Brom and Alan? Obviously, he's not a regular manager in the Premier League, is he?
Traditionally, they are a bit of a yo-yo club. I remember when Hull City were going up through the leagues, you saw them every year. They were winning the Championship. Of course, they won the Championship, I believe, the year that City won the playoffs in 2008. And I think Alan Irvine, a bit of an unknown quantity. We know he's been coaching around a lot of the clubs, but do we know what he's about as a manager? We don't know too much about him, and I think it'll be very interesting to see if they can survive. Cause I would say now, looking from afar, they probably won't, and I don't think they will.
I was going to say, if you was a West Brom fan, what would your thoughts be? No wins yet. Obviously, we're only a few games in, but you'd expect at least one win.
Yeah, of course, you don't want to start your season badly, and yes, things can change, and look at what happened with Sunderland last season, who started the season very poorly. Just want to pick up on that point, really, about the yo-yo club. It's amazing how expectations have changed, because not long ago, Hull City would aspire to be a yo-yo club. That's what we thought was our best case scenario. Now we're talking about top 10 and settling in.
I think they're a great
the Premier
example
League.
of clubs who can rise and rise through the leagues and then sustain a position. And obviously, I'm sure West Brom fans would love that right now. I mean, what do you think West Brom will go down, Dan? I mean, based on this form.
Absolutely, yeah. I picked them to go down at the beginning of the season. I just don't see their squad really as being capable, or as capable as a lot of the others. Having said that, I actually picked Swansea City to go down as well. So it shows what I know, what a sports reporter I am.
It's a fantastic start for them. As you mentioned, Sunderland last season, the great escape for them. Obviously, they picked up quite a few points actually last end of the season. Can West Brom do the same?
Well, they can do, and I guess if their poor results continue, it's all about whether they take that brave decision to get in the new manager and he transforms them. You know, it's this situation. You want to keep the same manager for the continuity, for the consistency, but at what point do you say, look, there has to be change?
Yeah. So, one word answer: sack or stick, Alan Irvine.
Oh, can't be one word.
Has to be.
I wouldn't sack yet.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Dan. It's that time again, head to head, and this week's challenge is football charades. Take a look at this. So this is the gallery for On the Bench Extra. You won't have seen this. This is where the production team do their bit for the show. And this week we've got a challenge in our virtual studio, and it's football charades. So let's go through there now. So this is our virtual studio minus the graphics where we film the show, and we've stripped down to our bare bones. So, you ready, Harry?
I'm more than ready, Mr. Reid. Headball. Zidane. Baby. Balotelli. Thumb. Baby bottle. Dive. Cup. FA Cup. Hand of God. Injury. Time wasting. Injury time.
Clee Town have again had more success in the FA Cup, beating Carlton Town 3-2 last weekend. They now face North Ferriby United at home next weekend.
Well, there's more excitement around the club, without a doubt. The buzz and everything around it is tremendous. Like I said before, just to be in the FA Cup, never mind get to the second qualifying round, is an absolutely amazing achievement. Team spirit's amazing, and has been all season, to be fair. Marcus has got the dressing room, buzzing again. And at Bradley, we don't fear anybody. You know, we'll take on anybody at Bradley, and and give them a great game. And I'm sure that'll be the case against Ferriby. The ambition's not really changed from what we set out at the beginning. We talked with Marcus at the start of the season. We wanted at least a top 10 place in our first season in the Premier League, and a good FA Cup run and a good FA Vars run. I believe we're the only club of this area, except Grimsby, to have got this far in the FA Cup, and that for the area is a great achievement, not just for Cleethorpes Town, but say for everybody.
Let's focus on Clee Town as a club firstly, Dan. I mean, their profile's been raised massively with the FA Cup ties they've had. What are your thoughts on Clee Town and their run?
Well, I'll use the cliche, magic of the cup, of course.
Yeah.
Just about got it out there.
Yeah.
It's fantastic for a club like Cleethorpes Town to have the opportunity to play in the competition from at any stage. I know Dave Patterson said that to be in the FA Cup at all was a bit of a dream come true for Cleethorpes Town.
Yeah, I think obviously for these top clubs, the magic of it's lost because they're in much more elite competition. So for these small clubs, Peter, it's got to be good. And obviously for the local area, it's fantastic. I mean, what are your thoughts on the clash?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic, first of all, for the local area. I don't know what sort of figure of attendance we might get, but you know, it should make money, first of all. You know, let's be brutal about it. It should bring some much needed money in. And in terms of the area, I mean, cross the Humber Derby, fantastic. As many as we can have. I love them. Yeah,
will you be covering this story, Dan? I'm sure you will.
Yeah, of course. It's probably not the most glamorous Humber Derby I could have thought of, but I think it'll be two teams that really want to win it. Of course, the FA Cup, North Ferriby United, I believe, got within one win of getting to the first round proper last time round, and I think for them it'll mean a lot. I don't think they'll be putting out a second string team against Cleethorpes, even though they are a few leagues below.
Can I take a match prediction from you both then? What's yours?
Ferriby will win 5-1.
Peter?
Narrow win for Ferriby.
Yes, I agree. Obviously, North Ferriby were almost a conference side last year, so I think they have the advantage, I think, in this one. Fantastic, guys. Thank you. Right, here's this week's halftime teaser. In what year did Steve Bruce begin his management career, and with which team? Welcome back. Before the break, I asked you, in what year did Steve Bruce begin his management career and with which team? And it was in the 98-99 season, and he took over Sheffield United. Right, let's take a look at the action from Grimsby's trip to Halifax on Tuesday night.
Did say in the paper he might be fit for the weekend, but that's to be seen. Toto. Oh, not a good ball back to the keeper. McEwen did well. Halifax have it, that's a dive. Referee's given it, but I can assure you that was a dive. So when it comes, that's a goal. Well, we said we had to be careful, and Paul Marshall makes it 1-0. So 4 minutes on the clock, Marshall makes it 1-0. Toto making the run, gets it. Ref running off. Good ball, finds Nielsen, edge of the area, gets past one man. Shot comes in, it's in the net. Scott Nielsen has got the equaliser. So after 14 minutes, Scott Nielsen. Good run by Town and a good goal from Scott Nielsen. Slotted it past the keeper, in off the post. Excellent goal from Scott Nielsen. 1-1. That's better than last year, and it comes. Oh, very close indeed. And it comes again. Ooh, that's not far away. My goodness. In fact, that is the full-time whistle.
Well, looking ahead at this weekend's upcoming fixtures for our local sides, Grimsby travel to Kidderminster. We'll start with that match. That'll be a tough game, considering Grimsby's current sort of form and maybe their confidence down. What are your thoughts on that, Ty?
Well, I know their form has been particularly indifferent at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how they get on against Kidderminster. Of course, Kidderminster Harriers are another team that used to be in the Football League. I think they were in League Two when I first started going to watch Hull City, and I remember them beating us at the KC. And I also remember Hull City beating them by quite a severe scoreline as well. I think Grimsby Town will get there. Of course, they've got a few injuries, and I think they're going to try and replace them over the coming few weeks. And I think they'll fight their way back up the league.
Because Kidderminster are obviously a top-end conference side rather than ones looking down. Obviously, they've been challenging for the playoffs, so that will be tough. Peter, what are your thoughts on that tie for Grimsby?
Yeah, it's simply that I think often in these situations you just need one good win to get your season going, and that is the sort of game where if they could find a decent result, then maybe they'd string a few together.
Yeah, obviously Scunthorpe then, they host Leyton Orient this weekend. Scunthorpe have had a poor start, you know, I can say that because obviously they have, I think they've got the one win. So what are your thoughts on that tie, Dan? That will be tough, sure.
Contrast them to Grimsby.
Yeah.
It now makes Grimsby look like they're doing particularly well. Scunthorpe United desperately need a win. I would possibly say, well, I'm not 100% sure that, well, if the fans probably aren't getting on the back of Russ Wilcox at the minute. I think another defeat, and it possibly might start. They had a great run last year, but hasn't been replicated in League One, and I think it's worrying for them, and I think they need to get another win on the board.
I was nearly going to say that 20-odd game unbeaten run last year. I don't think they're going to do that this year. Peter, what are your thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, it's this momentum thing, isn't it? The expectation is there because they had this long run last year and did very well and then tailed off a little bit. But the start of a new season, fans will be thinking, look, I fancy our chances this year. And when it doesn't happen, you know, fans soon get on the back of the manager.
And again, Newcastle, poor start. Obviously, Hull City play them this weekend. Just quickly, what are your thoughts on that game? Any predictions?
Well, yeah, I've got a prediction. So Hull City have a very good record at St James's Park, and I think it'll probably carry on. I think they'll probably go and get a 2-1 win at St James's Park.
Peter, do you have a prediction? Dare you predict?
Dangerous to predict. My hope is that Hull City score early, the pressure mounts, the crowd starts to shout and turn nasty, and it works in favour of Hull City. That's the ideal scenario.
Fantastic, Peter. Thank you. It's now time for the second half of our head-to-head challenge, and it was football charades. So this is the gallery for On the Bench Extra. You won't have seen this. This is where the production team do their bit for the show. And this week we've got a challenge in our virtual studio, and it's football charades. So let's go through there now. So this is our virtual studio minus the graphics where we film the show, and we've stripped down to our bare bones. So you ready, Harry?
I'm on ready, Miss Reid.
Penalty. Free kick. Good. 1-2. Megged. Nutmeg.
Yeah, good.
Sprint. Run.
Yeah.
These are easy. Goal. Celebration.
Goal.
Spray. The line spray. The wall spray. Silly spray. Silly string. Intimate spray. Just before we hear from Paul Hurst, we have more back page stories to discuss and react to. So I'll start with the Grimsby Telegraph. Obviously, the dominating headline is Owls handed Ferriby tie after Carlton win. We mentioned it briefly earlier on in the show. And as we say, they're getting recognition for it. They're being recognised. It's in the back page, whereas Grimsby normally dominate that. So again, Dan, this story, it's got to be good for the club, surely.
Exactly, it's getting Cleethorpes Town on the back pages. If they beat Ferriby, it won't be on the back pages, it'll be on the front pages. I think it'll be really exciting for them. It'll be a great opportunity to get more people down and interested. And of course, if they did beat North Ferriby United, that would really be one good story.
Do you think attendances will continue to rise, Peter, on the back of this story as well?
Yeah, it's a boost, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, whatever club you support, you're looking to try and achieve something that's going to take it a notch above and give it that publicity that's going to excite you. It's fantastic.
Well, as a football player, I mean, they're playing in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Back page of the Sun. This one will be close to both your hearts, I'm sure. Diame, Barmy. What difference has this chap made to the club? I think Sam Allardyce is regretting selling him, especially for the price it was. What are your thoughts on Diame, Peter?
Fantastic performance in the game against West Ham. The big question mark over him, I guess, is, you know, the word on the street is he plays when he wants to and has got fantastic talent. You know, what you look for as a Hull City fan, I think, is that consistency in the performances.
I think Sam Allardyce used the words, he's on his day, he can be a match winner. And of course, he nearly was on Monday night. So he's got to be good for the club, surely, Dan.
Almost. The thing is, he's got a fantastic power. He's quick, knocks people out of the way, as we saw on Monday night. And I think he'll be the signing of the bunch that they signed on transfer deadline day.
Can make the difference.
Yeah.
Right, looking at the back page of the Sport for iSport, we've got Paul Scholes has said Real Madrid sales have opened the door to an English side to win the Champions League. I think that's a pretty big statement to make, really, considering the English sides have been nowhere near it for a couple of seasons. Dan, what are your thoughts on Scholes' words?
Well, it's bold. Of course, Paul Scholes is the kind of person you'd listen to and you'd probably heed advice from him. I think to say English clubs aren't going to get anywhere near the Champions League, I'd probably disagree, because I think Manchester City are still the side, despite their draw against
Peter, quickly, can an English side win a Champions League?
They can, agree with that. I think the Spanish clubs have been ahead in recent times, but I think the gap is narrowing. I think we have a number of good chances. I would agree with Dan. Manchester City would be my tip.
Fantastic, thank you, Peter. Right, during the week, we spoke to Paul Hurst, and he gave us his thoughts about the season so far and his squad.
It's still early days, and said he can't, again, won't keep using that phrase, but there's a hell of a long way to go. You know, I look back to Kidderminster the other year, who lost 5 and drew 5 of the first 10 games and missed out on automatic promotion on the last day of the season. Luton, you know, weren't much better off than what we currently are last year and won the league. So, yeah, I've got every faith in the players that we've got, and you know, given a fair run at it, you know, I'm sure we'll be fine. We go into every game believing that we can win it. As I said, it's genuinely, it's not excuse, as a deal in the facts, and it's been difficult start in some ways through circumstances that have arisen, but what we have done on a couple of occasions is played some really good football and put in good performances more often than not, where we have been the better team. Whether that's always culminated in taking the points is a different matter.
So, Paul Hurst, wise words from the manager. What do we think to his comments, Dan?
Well, I think the fans' expectations, of course, are always going to be there when they're playing in the football conference, because Grimsby Town are one of the biggest, if not the largest team in that division. I think the bank holiday weekend where they scored 13, I think it was 13 goals and conceded 1, was just fantastic for them, but they've not replicated it, and I think that's exactly what the fans feel like they're missing out on and feel like they can do better because of that. Yeah,
Peter, is it Championship winning form? Obviously, will they win that league on that form?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, there's pressure there already, because whatever division you're in, when you've got a history like Grimsby, you know, there's expectation again.
I think the moment they went down, they was expected to come back up, and they didn't do that. It was 2 11th place finishes, 2 seasons in the playoffs. Now this is the 5th season back in the conference. Will they get out of this league? Dan?
Yes, I think they will. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they got up. I think playoffs are probably more likely. They've had a bit of hard luck the last few years, and I think this year probably is the year for them. I think the squad get a few more loan signings in to replace the injured strikers. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll get up, and I think from then on in, I think it could be a good few years for them.
Yeah, I mean, Peter, just quickly, what are your overall thoughts on Grimsby in this season?
Totally agree with that, except that I just hope they don't get in this "we're too good for this league" mentality, which is the danger if that spreads through players and fans and they get complacent.
Yeah.
You've still got to get out there and play the games.
Thank you,
I think
Peter.
that's been the danger all year.
Yes. Right, that's all we've got time for this week. Don't forget to tune in to us next week for more of the same. Keep up to date with us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and email, on the bench at estuary.tv. For this week, goodbye.